Hello and welcome to Justice, live tonight from Los Angeles. I'm Jeanine Pirro. Thanks for being with us tonight, and thanks to all of you for once again making Justice #1 last weekend. And what a show tonight here in L.A. I'll be talking with conservative firecracker Michelle Malkin, White House Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley, Congressman Darrell Issa, and Turning Point USA's Charlie Kirk. But first, my opening statement. All of you have a decision to make. It has never happened in the history of this country. An ex-president viciously attacking his successor, trashing our commander-in-chief, his party, and all those Americans who put him in the Oval Office. This on the heels of an anonymous op-ed piece allegedly written by a gutless senior administration official, or not, and published in collusion with the New York Times, a Trump-hating newspaper. There is so much hatred and resentment over the success of this president that they simply cannot handle it. I've got news for you. It's not going to stop. The haters aren't going anywhere. But if you're a patriot and you like the course America is on, just ignore them, get behind this president, and vote. Yesterday, with a full-throttle, savage attack on the president, Barack's message, obstruct and resist. He pontificates about the reality of racial discrimination, slavery, and the, quote, darker aspects of America's story, accusing President Trump as follows.
He's just capitalizing on resentments that politicians have been fanning for years. A fear and anger that's rooted in our past.
Are you kidding? If anyone has stoked racial hatred and divisiveness, it's you and your self-proclaimed wingman, Attorney General Eric Holder, running off to Ferguson, attacking all law enforcement whenever there's a death, even before there's any investigation. And in case you don't remember, Barack, no cops were found to have committed wrongdoing in Michael Brown and Freddie Gray's killings. You even stoke religious division. Are you serious? You're the one who shows up at a national prayer breakfast in 2015 after the beheadings of Americans by ISIS, having the gall to tell Christians to get off their high horse over atrocities committed in the name of Islam. In fact, aren't you the same guy who in 2008 and 2015 criticized Christians and working-class voters in old industrial towns decimated by job losses, saying, we Christians cling to guns and religion? You call Republicans elitist? You're the elitist looking down on hardworking Americans. And then you say...
But over the past few decades, the politics of division and resentment and paranoia has unfortunately found a home in the Republican Party.
The politics of division has found a home in the Republican Party? That's as ridiculous as saying that this administration is cozying up to Russia. You want to talk about cozying?
This is my last election, basically. Yeah, after my election, I have more flexibility. Yeah, I understand. I transmit this information to Vladimir.
What were you talking about? Barack, you never answered that question. What would you have more flexibility on after the election? Was it the sale of our uranium? Was it the money you were going to send to Iran? Was it meddling in our election? Was it money to the Clinton Foundation? How about your foundation? Your narrative of Republicans as Nazi sympathizers is a dog whistle to your base. There is no truth to it, but you insist on repeating it to stoke up the hatred by your base.
How hard can that be, saying that Nazis are bad?
Maybe you ought to say that to the Antifa who claim to be anti-fascist. But they're all leftists from your party, and they are the ones who want to suppress free speech and would rather burn down a building than hear what the right has to say. That's fascism. And you have the unmitigated gall to say that you return the economy to healthy growth and the longest streak of job creation? You don't mention numbers here because there is nowhere to go but up from the bottom. And you say, we took out bin Laden and wound down the wars in Iraq and combat role in Afghanistan. Who do you think you are, Douglas MacArthur? You couldn't make a military decision for your life. You're the same guy whose feckless foreign policy couldn't figure out what to do with that JV team, ISIS, whether to contain them, dismantle them, or destroy them, none of which you did. And you got Iran to halt its nuclear program? Really? How would you know? You didn't know anything about Natanz and Fordo in Iran as they were secretly spinning centrifuges, lying to you and your gullible team. You didn't even require that we be allowed to monitor their nuclear development. You let out the worst of the terrorists from Gitmo for a deserter that your standby liar, Susan Rice, Bo Bergdahl, called him a hero. You ran the most corrupted administration, at least since Harry Truman, and you can't stand it that every metric under the Trump administration is better off than when you were in office. And Donald Trump is one of the biggest threats to our democracy? How dare you? This man is the President of the United States, someone that we put in office, and he is to be respected. Your attack on him as a racist and a fascist is not about making things better for us. It's about you, your ego, and your corrupt deep state power structure. You desperately tried to defeat Trump, and it didn't work. And you remain in Washington to support the resistance and obstruction of a sitting American president while you stoke your racial cop-hating narrative. Your version of America is not the America we want. To us, social justice is about justice for American citizens and not illegal criminals. To us, social justice is about taking care of veterans who come back to our shores with fewer limbs than when they left. To us, social justice is not about burning our flag. It is about raising it and lifting it. I'm sorry to say this, but there's one thing that you're going to have to live with. The only reason that we have an outsider businessman president is because of you, your lies, your policies, and your divisiveness. You, Barack, you elected Donald Trump, and there's nothing you can do about the fact that he's sitting in the Oval Office now. So I guess I should say, thank you, Barack. And that's my open. And remember, if you're a fan of my opens, you'll be a huge fan of my latest book, the New York Times #1 bestseller, Liars, Leakers, and Liberals, The Anti-Trump Conspiracy. You can get your copy tonight while you're watching me. And joining me now here